Please tell our audience more about yourself and your journey.
Yeah, so I'm in aircraft maintenance. I started actually working on a farm many years ago when I was a little kid. I was 12
Mhm.
because I loved horses. And the gentleman that I worked with needed somebody on the farm to help him. So he and I worked together for years, 6 years, and he would set me up during the week to do stuff that he couldn't do during the week because he was a trucker, actually logistics. He was a trucker, so he needed somebody out there to do stuff. And I got really good at working with my hands. I could work under direction. He would tell me what to do throughout the week. I'd do it, and on the weekend we would work together. So I was really good with my hands. And I knew someday I would need to be doing something that would help me be able to, feed my family and that I like to get engaged in. So that was the initial tickler that got me started thinking about maintenance. And then my brother, my family's a service family, so my brother was a Marine at the time, and it came time to think about what are you going to do with the rest of your life, right? And the Marine Corps really appealed to me, that the service life, to be able to get back to your country, it really appealed to me. So the Marine recruiter came over, and on the top of his list was aircraft and then aircraft maintenance. And I said, what about aircraft maintenance? And he goes, women can do that. He said, women can't be pilots at that time. He said, but women can work on aircraft. And I said, how about aircraft maintenance? So he said, there you go. And then next thing I knew, I was off traveling the world working on fighter aircraft in maintenance. And there were only two of us at the time that I knew, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, which was me. And we would pass as we passed from service station to service station. The two of us would pass and spend about a week together, and then see each other next year. So there wasn't very many of us, but it was a fantastic start to a wonderful career that has been fantastic as far as travel and just so supportive. It's provided a great financial career for me, and a lot of it ties to logistics, which is what you're interested in.
Wow, that's actually so awesome and super inspiring. But I must say the choice of the sectors are indeed very scary. For
Yes,
anyone,
yes,
I would say both the words aviation as well as logistics are something that
yes.
normally people don't sign up for. And you took a combination of that, which is a very strong choice. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that a lot of people did come up to you going like, are you sure? Or they would have
Mm-hmm.
tried to fill you with the doubt and intimidated you. So how did you make that choice of being so sure that you wanted this?
Yeah, that's interesting because my mom, when she first learned that I wanted to be a mechanic, was like, No, no, no." But luckily, she called my uncle, who at that time worked
Mhm.
for a major airline, and
Oh,
his first comment was, "Oh my God, if she wants to be a mechanic, let her be a mechanic." He said that is a fantastic career. So he was very supportive, and luckily, we knew somebody in the industry. So then it was just a matter of me getting into the industry. And I've always been very fortunate to have good mentors
mhm.
that I'm very inquisitive. So I like to ask a lot of questions. And that type of approach works well because people like to talk about their job. They like to show you what they do. They love to talk about their job. So if you're inquisitive and you go up and you go, hey, what are you working on? And I've never done that before. Can you show me what you're doing? People love to do it. So that type of approach really helped me. And the fact that I'm a avid learner, I love to learn and love to learn new things, and that worked really well in my favor. So it wasn't as intimidating once you get in there and you meet
Mhm.
people and you start to learn from them. They're very willing to share their experience. That's my experience.
Wow, that actually sounds like something that can calm a lot of us down who are
Mhm.
feeling that sense of intimidation, the fear of the sector, especially in the beginning when we are faced with statements like it's a male dominated sector. It's quite underrated. Do you have any form of guidance that you can get from all
Yeah.
of it? Because as we spoke before, the amount of people who can guide you for finance or marketing like literally would be person you speak to every day. But
Hmm.
when it comes to sector like this, both the sectors that you are in, aviation as well as logistics, it's hard to get guidance as well.
Yeah, it's why it's really important to get involved in organizations that help you with that. I think we mentioned earlier, or I was talking to you earlier about, I'm on the board of directors for the Association for Women in Aviation Maintenance. You have to surround yourself with people that speak the same language as you, and even in that organization, there are men, there are allies in that organization. And I know there are logistics organizations. You just have to get yourself in those types of organizations and meet folks and build that strength of allyship, whether it's another female or another, whether it's a male or whatever it is. It's really important to get in those types of organizations up front. Because if you're trying to do it by yourself, it can be really daunting. And if you're the only, if you're the only female in a hangar full of men on the one shift, or, it can be really daunting. And a lot of times people will get frustrated and they'll leave. They may go into the career, but then they'll leave the career. So I think it's really important to build those relationships up front, which is a passion of mine and my group, just to make it easier for people to transition into that.
Wow, that's actually super awesome. And I feel that, as you said, once we feel that we have support, just
Mm-hmm.
like allyship with some specific people, say you are sure
Mm-hmm.
you fall back on if you get stuck, can help you
Mm-hmm.
go a longer way in your career. But when you feel that sense of like, I am being pushed around, or say
Yeah,
you are being surrounded by people who are not supporting you, but like against you, it can make you leave the
yeah.
career quicker.
Yeah, it's interesting. We did this seminar. We kind of digress here, but we did this seminar at this conference we were in, and it was a harassment seminar. And we did it where we had a male on the
Mm-hmm.
stage with me, I moderated, and another friend of mine up there. And we went through scenarios, real life scenarios of uncomfortable situations and things that have happened to female mechanics. And just going through those situations, and we talked to the audience about, has anybody seen this type of situation, or what did you do? Or as we acted through the situations, we would do a bad response, and then we do a good response, and help teach them on how to respond to situations you're going to see, or that you're going to be in, and give them options for how to learn from it in a safe environment. And one of the comments one of the ladies made was, hey, you could actually practice this yourself. You could actually get in a room with yourself and go, what if somebody says this to me? What type of
Yeah,
response can I have that's not emotional, that's not, like a bad response right in the middle of it? And how can I smooth my way through that situation without damaging my career, or making me leave? I could just go
true.
to heck with it, or ignore it, just to heck with it, and leave.
Yeah.
But to do that live in front of a group of people was really helpful. We had a lot of good
Mhm.
feedback on that. But by learning with people that have had those same situations, that helps people go through that, right?
Mm. And I like the way you described it, I feel that it's one of the most important issues to be spoken about and
Mm-hmm.
to be taught as well. Because as you said, the feeling of confusion does creep in when you are from the third person's perspective. Like, how should I get in without causing collateral damage in general, like not just to my own career, but even the person who is into it. Because I feel that,
Exactly.
suppose I speak up for someone, but that person who was in that wanted me to shut up and like be like, oh, I don't want you to damage my career, and something along
Yes.
those lines. Because
Yeah.
I've heard about the such things as well, and I'm like, oh shit. So like standing up for someone else can be harmful too sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. And we walked through all those different types of scenarios. So it was really helpful to see that. And we talked about different ways to respond to it. This type of way may not be the best. However, it
Yeah,
is a response, right? So just trying to help young folks now learn through this stuff that we've been through for years, right? So.
definitely. And that's actually a great, I think, learning lesson, and also
Mhm.
a gift for the younger generation, because as you said, you guys never got that privilege of being taught how to respond. You just learned it through your experiences, I'm assuming, and probably it would have backfired sometimes.
Yeah, you could see on the stage when there were some bad responses, they were actually
Yeah,
really the response that happened. And in some
yeah,
responses, people just left the industry. They were like, you know what, this is just too much for me. I can't take it. And had
yeah,
they had somebody that could help them or guide them through that, they might have stayed, right? So
yeah.
anything you can do to help folks transition into these types of industries, they're not easy, but they are very, very rewarding. So,
Definitely. And
mhm,
but I have a personal question. I feel
mhm,
that as women, we are expected to behave in a certain way, in a certain manner.
uh,
And especially when it comes to a sector which is male dominated, it's like you are the only women out there, so you get more
uh,
attention. Now that's
yeah,
definitely not your fault, but then there
mhm,
comes the whole responsibility of behaving a certain way, that
yeah,
oh, it's you, it's not them, kind of thing. So I
mhm,
feel it's also something that's needed to be taught, that okay, this is
mhm,
what is expected of you and we hope you can perform it
mhm,
well.
yeah.
But it's tough, I feel like, in general. As I said, corporate itself sounds like a tough war we are going for every day. And then comes the whole pressure that you are a woman, you are the minority, and we
Mhm,
have other people around. So we're gonna be respectful of the bigger population because they are more and they kind of bring more money to the whole thing. Then how
yes.
are we gonna go ahead with it? Like, are there any sessions that are being conducted for this, like helping women understand how do they function?
I mean, as far as like any additional ones,
Uh-huh.
like we've done now, we just did the one. But we got such a great response from it. I
Yeah.
would envision that we would be doing that again because
Uh-huh.
to be able to see something like that,
True.
incredibly valuable. But yeah, yeah, it almost should be a podcast, I think.
True.
In the future, that might be helpful. But yeah, but
Yes.
as a
Mm-hmm.
as a female in these types of roles, the more they see you, right? For us, the companies, you have to be really good at what you do, right? You have to
True.
be very, you almost have to be even be better at what you do, and you have to be so conscious about your craft and knowing your craft, right? So
True.
that when you get in situations where people might question your ability, you have to really have your stuff together.
True.
And when they see that,
Mm-hmm.
and your ability to not be, I don't want to say emotional, but you don't, when they hit you with stuff, if you can very calmly, just look at them
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
okay, and just give them the death stare, just look at them, okay. Not appropriate response.
Yeah.
But let me tell you about why I'm here and what I'm doing, right? And then if you really are really good at your craft, I think it speaks a lot about your ability to, when you can calmly handle things.
Yeah.
People, whether it's somebody saying something or questioning your ability, the fact that you know your stuff, you can calmly and ignore all that noise. You don't
Mm-hmm.
react to it, and you just very calmly walk them through why you're doing what you're doing. I think that builds integrity, and people see that, and then they go, okay, well, there's maybe there is a place for women in this industry, because I've seen women that can handle those types of situations and are really good at their job,
True.
and you can build like a base of people that are glad to see you there. You know what I mean?
True. And
Yeah.
I personally agree with it because I have heard amazing women setting examples like these. And I
Mhm.
also performed an internship like in the month of July, and I saw amazing women driving cranes. They were going around carrying forklifts, and I could see that attitude in their behavior, which was so amazing. Like, I could see that they had set their boundaries, but at the same
Mhm.
time, they were very friendly. And I'm like, I
Yes.
personally felt very inspired by them, but at the same time, I can't lie to you, I felt so worried for my own self. I was like, if someday I'm out there, I know the way I am, and I don't think I would be able to like establish that perfection the way she has established it. Like, boundary is
Yeah.
there, but I'm also friendly. I think that
Yes.
is such an important skill set.
Yeah. To be able to set a boundary
Yeah.
without being aggressive or
Mm-hmm.
emotional about it. I was in a meeting the other day, and the gentlemen were going after it. They were going after it, and I was like, gentlemen, we're not going to do that here. We're not going to do it. Here's how we're going to handle it. And I'm in a position where I could say that. And I
Yeah.
said, that's it. We're not doing that here. We're going to deal with the issue, and let's just get back to the issue. We're not going to go through all that. And they were like, oh, okay. So we just we got through the problem when we all
Yeah.
discussed it without getting all excited. And these folks were pretty excited about stuff. And we got out of that meeting, and another gentleman came up to me. He goes, "Oh, thank you for doing that." He goes, that was a hot mess. He said everybody was starting to get loud and aggressive. And he goes, you just said, we're not doing this. We're not doing that. And he said,
Exactly.
just by you just sit calmly saying, we're not doing that. He said, they all stopped. And he was like, okay, we're not doing that. So I wasn't aggressive about it. I didn't get emotional about it. I didn't raise my voice. I just said,
Yeah.
hey, here's what we're doing. And he said, I'm so thankful that happened. He goes, that was just so easy. I'm like, oh, you too can do that. Right.
Exactly. But I think that's the amazing personality and the standard that you have set out there for them to be so, so respectful of you that she
Yes.
said it, now we just abide by it. Like it is
Well,
important to respect her word.
yeah, and my boundary was we're not going to yell at each other in a meeting. We're not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my boundary. I don't care if we don't agree in the meeting. I don't care if we have difference of opinions, but we're not going to yell at each other. We're not going to get
Absolutely.
hostile and aggressive. That was my boundary. So you just got to know what your boundary is, and then just be able to articulate it. And
Yeah.
you know,
True. And you are a Six Sigma black belt. To be honest, when
yes.
we say black belt, I think the first thought comes to karate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But for our amazing audience, would you please tell us in simple
yeah.
words what does that mean and how can someone start developing that mindset?
Yeah, so really, Six Sigma is a method to remove. It's a method to look at data, and you improve quality and you improve efficiency, really, and it is a form of continuous improvement, is what I would say. So the best way I can articulate it is when you're in an environment and you're working in an environment, think of a brain surgeon in a operation pod, right? You don't want him to have to worry about it. Are there gloves? Are there scalpels? Are they clean? Is there somebody going to give the anesthesia? Is there a nurse that's going to be, what that you don't want them to have to think about that. You want them to be able to function in the pod and do the surgery that they need to do without any of that. And there's all a bunch of support groups, right? So what you're thinking about is how do you make sure that that's repeatable? There's no errors whatsoever, right? And all of the equipment is exactly right there for that surgeon to do that job. Well, I think about that when I think about aircraft maintenance. I got a mechanic out there on the floor, and I don't want them to have to go look for, where are the tools? Where, are there gloves here? Is there paint here? Is there, where is all this stuff? Is there a ladder? Am I going to have to go change, chase down tires? It should all be there for that person, so that they can do the function that they need to do as efficiently as possible with the highest quality, right? So continuous improvement is looking at ways to reduce waste, and Six Sigma does a lot of data research to get to that. And it's really it's as simple as that. Just think about a surgeon in there, and how do you make that so easy so that highly trained, skilled person does their function every time the same without any interference. That's as simple as I could
Wow.
say.
That
Yeah.
actually is so, so beautifully put. Like the way I thought it's just like reducing the waste, but the way you explained it makes its importance rise so, so high. Like, okay, this is exactly the reason why it's so much in demand. It's one of the
Yes.
recommended skill sets that's asked by companies to develop. Like, you should know and stuff like that. And I feel
Yeah.
that your sector especially asks for a lot of precision, perfection,
Mhm.
safety checks, deadlines. I feel that the aviation sector and logistics both
Mhm.
are
Yes.
very sensitive, precious, and at the same time very stress filled. So how do you
Yes.
stay composed when things go downhill or when the pressure actually hits?
And it does a lot every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my first thing is breathe, take a
Uh-huh.
breath, breathe,
You're
and really,
alive.
you just have to stop and you have to go,
Yeah.
what information do I know? What do I know? What's the issue, right? And what can I do immediately to help resolve the issue? Is there anything I can do quickly, right? In a aircraft industry or other safety sensitive industries, we have a lot of checklists, right? That we've built because of all these types of issues that you may have, right? So first thing, breathe. What do I know? What's the situation? Is there a checklist so I can go through this? If there's not, and you're on the fly, you have to be thinking about who do I need in this communication to help best resolve it, right? Is it an engineer? Is it maintenance control? Is it a troubleshooter? Is it somebody that has a particular skill? Because I might not have all the skill that I need to deal with whatever it is that's happening, right? So you got to be able to think, who do I need here right now? What do we need to do? And what's the end result we want, right? So if you can kind of break it down into different pieces, but what the first thing people do is they get all panicking and they start to run around, go,
Yeah.
right? But first thing, breathe, stop and breathe and assess what's happening, use the data that you have, and then put a plan forward to deal with it, right? You think of emergency people, they do the same scenarios over and over and over and over again to prepare themselves for when things go south. In an operation like this, anything could happen at any moment, but you have to have that same uh, uh, skill set built in so that I'm going to take a breath, I'm going to look at this situation, and then I'm going to put a plan together.
Wow, that actually sounds like a beautiful piece of advice. And the first word, breathe, it's like you need to know that you are in it now and you just have to be there. But if you do it calmly, it will probably give better results. And Stacey,
Yes.
I must say, you have a beautiful, cheerful energy. And I'm sure everyone around you is just like, thank God she's here because she keeps the mood light.
I try to, yeah. I try to.
Yeah.
Life's too short. Life is too short. Yeah.
True. And
Yeah.
you have led teams at some of the biggest airlines in the
Hmm.
world. What
Hmm.
is that one thing that you think young professionals often get wrong about the whole idea of the sector?
So for our sector,
Mm-hmm.
um, when you think about maintenance, you think I'm going to be out there every day in grease and oil and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's part of it,
Yeah.
but there is so much, the leadership portions of it are completely different than that, right? That's a whole
Yeah.
different skill set that you can learn and you can still be in the industry, but it's just a different portion of it.
True.
But when you think about aircraft maintenance, it's not just replacing parts and replacing parts and replacing parts. You have to be thinking further down the line of like, why did the aircraft break? Have I seen this before? Is there a trend into what's driving this? Is there a trend driving delays or cancellations? What is that? And then how do you proactively put the things in place to stop it before it happens, right? Because I can fix the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. I can change tires on the same aircraft 100 times. But if there's something driving it, or something from a reliability perspective driving it, you have to be able to deep dive into that kind of stuff. So just to be able to replace parts is one part of it, but really to be able to look at it as holistic as possible and go, what are the other causes, and then how do we fix that so that we don't have to do the same thing over and over and over again. That's the part I think people miss is they think, yeah, we're going to be out there changing, oil every day of my
Yeah.
life. You could be, but
True.
maybe not.
I think so. The way I understood it, you are trying to say that it's important to look at the big picture,
Yes,
understanding how can we increase the efficiency. Like if you
yes,
understand, then you don't have to repeat the same work again and again. If you understood
yes.
the first
Well,
time.
and it improves the safety of the aircraft as well, and the flying public or the cargo in our instances. Yeah.
Definitely. And you spoke about how we can learn about leadership in this
Hmm.
sector. So, talking about that, how what did you mean by that statement, and how can we learn different leadership styles here?
Yeah, so I got into leadership. A lot of times people just want somebody to fix stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily want to fix it, but they need some help, right? So for me to go into a leadership role, it was about how do I help the team be successful? Because there's a lot of stuff that goes wrong, a lot of things that need to be fixed that they may or may not know how to fix it. But I've built the relationships with people that I know we can get them in a room and figure out how to fix stuff, right? So I love that portion of leadership. Being able to influence change is really important for me because people are just trying to do the best they can. Everybody wants to be part of a winning team, but there are things that get in the way. And a good leader is one that can go, okay, here's where we need to go. Let's look at the situation. Let's see if we can take away those roadblocks and help that team be successful. So that's what I love to do. It's more of a servant leadership style where you can clearly see where we need to go, and you want the team to be successful. So you help them. Whatever you need to do, you help them. Whether it's me being out there helping them on the floor, or me helping with the processes or procedures. The other part of leadership that I think is critical is to bring people with you, right? And by lifting people up is a hugely important part of it because if it all is dependent on me, I mean, someday my hope is that there's a line of people equally as skilled with this, different types of skills that will come after me, right? Because just builds the organization up. But that's where I think we need to be
Yeah.
focusing on that type of thing.
That actually is a beautiful piece of advice that you gave us, that it's so important to bring everyone together. And at the same time, I feel it's still a very, very important skill set, because I feel that it's anyone that you talk to, they'll be aware of this line, that it's important to take everyone together, work together. But it really takes an amazing leader, I feel, as cheerful and amazing like you are, to
Uh-huh.
actually do that, because the implementation is not easy. People are so different out there, and different personalities, different behavioral patterns, but working together is gonna be possible only if the leader is amazing.
Yeah, and you really have to, as a leader, you have to think about putting people on your team that are different than yourselves. And I think some people miss that. And I hate to say it, especially in a male dominated field. You walk in the room and it's like they all look alike. It's like, for gosh sakes, there's nobody different in this room. They all have the same
Yeah.
skill. The really functional teams are made up of different types of people with different types of skills. Now, they may not always get along, right? But that's part of the process. As a leader, you have to be able to get them in a room and go, okay, we're going to discuss this. It may be uncomfortable, but we're going to have to figure out, you may have a valid reason why you don't like it, right? And we just have to figure out, what
Back.
do we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody has different types of talents, and that's what you need on a team.
Yeah.
We certainly, if everybody on the team looks like me and has the same skill of me, we're going to be missing a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, true.
So yeah, you just have to be open-minded about that.
And I feel it also brings a new perspective into picture when there are different people with different way of seeing things. Like I feel
Yes.
you have someone who is just like you both will agree and high-five each other, and that's the end of the matter. But if you have like a new person who is just like, I don't agree with what you said, I have a different view,
Mhm.
probably it will take a little while to reach the conclusion, but at least you'll have a different way of seeing things. And I
Yeah, and
think
they
that
may have different
matters.
things that need to be fixed, right? They may go, it won't work because of this, and you got to go, oh, yeah, you're right.
I didn't see that.
I didn't
Yeah.
see that. I didn't see that. But people get in a room and they think that that's bad. It's not necessarily bad. You just have to be able to have enough confidence in the team and respect to get through those types of discussions. And that's where really, really strong teams are made up of different types of folks, right?
Wow. True, definitely. And I feel that as a leader, I think it's also important to be receptive of the
Mhm.
feedback. Because
Mhm.
if you
Yes.
have people who are telling you, but you can't take their feedback, then oh my God, that's just gonna create a lot of chaos. He'll be like, I want to fire this person because that person just had a different view and I don't like it.
Exactly. I had somebody come in, a gentleman, and he was really apprehensive. He was so apprehensive to talk to me. And I had a friend of mine said, he's been trying to talk to you for 2 weeks. I'm like, what's the problem? She goes, oh, he's just having a hard time. I'm like, send him down to see me. And I got him in the room and I go, hey, I heard you want to see me about something. He goes, yeah. And he was hem hawing, hem hawing. I'm like, just spit it out. Whatever it is, just spit it out. Just throw it out here. And then whatever it is, we'll walk through it, right? And he said
Yeah.
something, and it was like, okay, all right. Like I tell you, how do we manage through that? And he at the end of it, he was so excited. He was like, oh my God. And I'm like, he
Good.
wasted he wasted 2 weeks of angst because he was
Yeah,
so nervous about it. And it was like, I didn't have any problem with it. Just come on in and let's just talk about whatever it is and we'll figure it out. But
true.
it's no big deal.
But I think he just found it hard to approach. Like people, I feel they even don't understand the whole idea of it because, yeah, they're not wrong for being scared because you don't know how the other person might react. Now you took it so well.
Exactly.
Probably someone would might have been.
Well, and in his defense, the culture was not necessarily that way
Ah,
across the company, right? So his experience may have been he raised his hand before
or-
and somebody he knocked him on the head and
yeah.
all that angst and it's like just come on and let's just see what do you have, let's talk about it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Stacey, I feel I'm learning so much about firstly people and the sector from you because yeah, I think your experience about different kind of people is just coming and I'm loving it. Like I'm getting to understand the corporate world so much better and I feel that it's gonna be fun, but I'll have to be a little sure of a lot of things before I speak.
Yeah, you just have to you can ping. I've got lots of good people that I ping things off of. I may call them up and go, hey, I had somebody call me the other day and go, hey, I got this thing I'm dealing with, and I'm like, okay, let's walk me through it. What are you dealing with? And then the two of us together were like, okay, let's walk through that. Okay,
Yeah.
this might be a good response. And she was like,
Mhm.
thank God we just did that because she said, I think I would have had a different response. And that's why it's really important to build relationships with people. Just build relationships with people. One of the best things of advice I got from when I first started out as a supervisor was from one of the gentlemen out in the shop. They were all men out in the shop, and he
Yeah.
goes, just come out and talk to us. And I was really nervous about that because I mean I was a supervisor and as a female in a supervisor role, he was like, what are these people thinking about me? But he goes, just come out and talk to us. Not about work, just talk. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's odd, but okay. So I started walking around every day and I would just walk up their toolboxes, have all sorts of things on them. Like they have their high school prom picture, they have their kids, they have their motorcycles, right? And so I just walk up to their toolbox and I go, hey, how you doing? Oh, I see you have a motorcycle. And
Yeah.
then we would talk about motorcycles or, hey, is that your high school prom picture, really? And then we would just kind of joke around. And and I would get used to walking and just talking to people and listening to what they say outside of work. And you build those relationships, right? It's all about relationships. I don't care what industry you're in. It's all about relationships and building the integrity and to be able to talk to people about stuff. So I think if you learn that early enough, and thank God he did that early enough in my career, that helped me so much just by getting to know people. Just walk around, ask them what they're doing or how they're doing, how their families are. And that kind of stuff was foreign to me as a brand new supervisor in a shop full of men.
Is there like a specific way to do it though? Because I also fear like I don't want to come off as like crossing my boundaries. Like I'm your work colleague. I don't want you to tell my personal life something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so for me it was easy because like I say, they all had stuff on their toolboxes that meant something to them, right?
True.
And they would ask me, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I said, well, I know she got a motorcycle there. I just went on a motorcycle ride this weekend. And they go, oh,
Ah,
and then it's like, oh my gosh, yeah. Or hey, I know she got a race car on your thing there. What kind of cars do you like? And it was just stuff, just basic everyday
random
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
It wasn't personal stuff about me or personal stuff. It was just like, hey, And then you just get to know them, and then they'll talk about stuff. Hey, my son's doing this, or my kids are doing that, or I have a special needs kid. And then you just ask them, get to know them, right?
So I think for you, it all started with whatever was there in front of you, which you spoke about. So like, there was no crossing any lines. You didn't have to ask. You're like, okay, I see the picture of the prom, so I'm gonna talk about it. Ask them if it is that. Just get it right.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I don't think they would put it on their toolbox had they not um, been had it not meant something to them, right? You can see sometimes
Definitely.
people have flags on, or they have something on their, they have something on their phone or something. You go, hey, I noticed you have a picture of something on your phone there or something, and then people like to talk about themselves, but it's
Yeah.
important to develop those relationships up front, and then those are the people that become allies later on in your career, right?
That's actually such a beautiful piece of advice. And I'm going to try to implement that whenever I start my corporate because I feel that is so, so important. And you cleared my most important doubt. I didn't want to come off as like overstepping. So you helped me
Uh-huh.
understand that better. And now I got the best and the most perfect, amazing advices, but I would still ask a formal question. Is there
Okay.
any specific piece of advice that a totally new
Hmm.
person, a fresher, would want, no, should know about for
Hmm.
us to not just survive, but succeed in the sector?
So I would say for somebody that's new in a sector, especially a female in a role that is a male dominated role,
Sure.
you belong there. You absolutely belong there, because I know you're probably sitting there thinking, do I belong here? There's not a
Yeah.
lot of me. Is this the right thing for me? Absolutely, yes, you belong there. Absolutely. That should be not even a question. The
Mm-hmm.
big thing from there is to be the best that you can be at your
Yeah.
sector, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you learn your craft, learn what you are there to do, and
Yeah.
develop those relationships. But building allies, so critically important, and especially in these fields where you're out there by yourself, and there's a lot of them. You need to be the best at what you do. Lead by example, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, but the first thing is you got to get out of your head. You absolutely belong there. There should be no doubt in your mind that you belong there. And then as you go, like my
Huh?
roles, you take people with you. Take people with you. Lift people up. Whether it's a male or a female, lift them up
Yeah.
with you. Right?
Wow. Thank you, Stacey. That was a beautiful piece of advice, not just for the current scenario that I'm in, we are all in, but even for the future success that you gave
Yes.
us. And I hope and I promise to definitely give it a try. Anytime I feel stuck, I think I'm gonna be like, I don't know how to implement this leadership style you just taught me about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get there.
You'll get there. And as you go, it's daunting at first,
Mhm.
but as you go, like I say, you'll get there. And like I say, when you'll learn those skills, there may not be, you might not have them right away, but you'll get there. But don't be afraid to do it.
We
Absolutely not.
belong there.
Absolutely, you belong there. Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Stacey. I had one of the most insightful, fun-filled, and the most realistic experience today. I heard it
Good.
and felt like I was listening to a documentary where one thing after the other happens, and I'm just enjoying each and every bit of it.
Well, I
And
have really enjoyed
I
our
meant it.
conversation. Yeah.
I'm so glad to know that. And I think
Yes.
my favorite part is the fact that you have such a cheerful personality. Like you are that lady boss who's just out there, like not on this table. And I
Yeah.
aim to become like you because that is it. That's how I want to be, where my word is respected. I'm looked up to
Mhm.
by everyone, and I have a cheerful personality. I don't want to be feared, I want to be respected.
Yes,
And I feel
absolutely.
you set just the perfect example for that. So thank you
Well,
for
thank you. I appreciate
joining
that.
me today.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. It's really been a pleasure getting to know you and having this discussion. It's been fun.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.